All right, Phil, we are back for part 2 of the simulation theory. We did part 1 last week. Such an interesting topic. Like you again, like we talked about in the first one, you can go so deep in this, and it's very polarizing. And some people are like, "You're crazy to even think this way." And I'm not saying that any one of us think this way at all. The whole purpose of this podcast is to bring ideas and philosophies and just crazy things that other people think about and what's out there in the world, and bring them to the table, and get the wheels turning for others and developing their own path towards success and whatever that looks like. And simulation theory is one of those things that came up, as we mentioned in the last podcast, kind of as a running joke with my kids. Like, things odd would happen, like as we're driving, you see like someone walking backwards or something, or you're like, that's weird, and I'm like, don't worry about it, we're just in a simulation. And we all just kind of get a chuckle out of it. And
that's just fentanyl.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like a drug addict on the corner or something. You're like, what the hell? But it took me down a rabbit hole, and that's what prompted the topic. And it's like, holy crap, there's some like evidence to this, which is wild to think about. But
but in part 1, we talked really more about theory, overall kind of concept, which most people may have heard of. And we wanted to take this part 2, split it up, and then talk about the actual kind of experiences and examples that people have justified the theory of a simulation. What are some of those things that actually justify it, and you could probably tie to in the listener's life?
Yeah. Okay. So this isn't like going to provide any evidence, but I don't know. Maybe I might be the only one, but let me tell you a story. So we flew to Hawaii a couple of weeks ago, right? And it's a long trip. It's a 6-hour flight. And they tell you, like, leaving Phoenix especially, they're like, hey, put the shades down, keep the airplane cool, whatever. So you jump on this flight and you get some turbulence. It's bumping around a little bit. You don't see anything outside, especially when you get to 30,000 feet. You're seeing nothing. And like, what if we're just flying around in circles and nothing's really actually happening? Or just flying through like we're not actually moving anywhere. It's like a ride at Disneyland or something. And then all of a sudden you just land and now you're in Hawaii, and that's the simulation. Like, that's the world we just plop down to, like whatever your design, like the controls are just like, hey, take them here and then simulate that island or that tropical place or whatever. And I'm like, and then you open it and they're like, okay, open up the windows or whatever. Like, it's not real. And I think about this sometimes. It's weird. Before I even thought about simulation theory or even it was a thing, I was like, what if we're just in a computer program and they're just like, hey, bump around for 6 hours because that makes sense because we're in the middle of the Pacific, and then we land and now we're just here and we didn't actually fly over across the earth. Just a weird thought.
I think they just did a movie on this. We did not watch it, but the premise was, it was like something escaped to Paris, and it was a reality TV show, dating show. And they're supposed to go to
Paris. Saw that. Not the real Paris or whatever.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly what you just described.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, side tangent. I know this is like way off topic, but I love rom-coms, and Jack and I watched that one and we loved it. We watched the whole thing. It's a horrible rom-com, but it's actually kind of cute. Whatever, if you want to watch it. But it's very similar. They did that. They thought they were flying to Paris, but they went to Paris, Texas. And
I think, like, basically what you just described drives back to what we talk about is our perception is our reality, right? If you get into this closed container and you are being told this is where we are going, you have no evidence except for the fact that you were in motion, that when you get off that plane, yes, you're in a different climate, et cetera. But how could that be? I mean, with experiments that scientists have done for ages in controlled environments, they've been doing controlled tests and changing the parameters like that over the course of history just to do behavioral tests. Yeah. So these are the kind of things that stirred doubt in the populace, I think, when we're talking about the potential of being in a simulation.
Yeah. Well, and it goes back to, again, the theory of like, hey, if there was an ancient civilization that had the ability to do this, then it's most likely that we are in one. But that's just one example. Another example, have you ever had, like, we talked about glitches in the Matrix last time. And I think one of the biggest ones, like, we all experience deja vu. Like, what is that? Where does that come from? Like, where you feel like you've been somewhere. Like, it's almost eerie where you're like I've walked into a BNI meeting before, and I've done it a weekly, right? For the last 8 years or however long, 7.5 years. And so, yeah, there's going to be some similarities, but there's times where you walk in, you're like, whoa, like that person was in that exact spot. I've seen this exact, like the whole scene is like this. I've been here before in that exact way.
Yeah, and it's all of your senses. Like sometimes it's even the smell or the temperature. You're like, I know I haven't been here before, but this is like ingrained in my memory.
Yeah. And deja vu is even weirder when, like you said, like I've never been here before. I know I haven't been here before, but it feels like I have. So,
and the movie The Matrix, which we keep driving back to because it's the most well-known pop culture kind of visualization of this, they called that a glitch in the Matrix, right? That this was an override and that the code bugged out. So you were repeating something that you'd already experienced. But like on that same note, like synchronicities in general, which have become a huge thing to me, and try to open up to why these synchronicities are happening. One that's very frequent is I'll be walking and my ADHD brain will be thinking about something else in the world while I'm listening to a podcast. And then that podcast topic will state the exact thing that I'm thinking of. This happened multiple times. And sure, there's just the reticular activating system. Maybe your brain is focusing on the same things, but some of them are so off topic and they should not overlap. And when they do, you're like, is this a simulation? Why on earth would that piece of code overlap at that time?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Even if you're not even saying anything out loud, you're just thinking about it, and all of a sudden, and that's where Ed Milet's talked about reticular activating system a lot in his book, The Power of One More. Where if you're just thinking about like you want to buy a red car, and then all of a sudden you're driving down the hallway or down the highway, and all you see is red car, red car, red car, red car, red car. You don't see any other color. All you see is a red car, and that's kind of
and that's where the beauty of visualization works. If you're visualizing what you want, what your goals are, you're going to find them.
Yeah,
is kind of
the synchronicity piece. Like you're right, like manifestation, visualization, whatever you're putting out into the world, the things that you're thinking about, things that you want, if you put a little power into it and they come back at you, and it could just very well be awareness, right? Like you're tapped into your awareness, or it's across, it's code that is crossing over. But neuroscientists attribute the deja vu effect as to just brain misfires. Like it wigs out or something. There's no real reason they can give to it, but under simulation theory, it's that exact thing that you just talked about, the synchronization of potentially an overlap between the system and the code.
Yeah. And then you get into what I have kicked around a lot. Again, don't have the evidence for it, but are you putting things out in regard to energy? Like we've all been there. Someone's been on our mind. I have so many times picked up the phone to call someone and they're calling me, and literally started the conversation with, what is going on? Like I was picking up the phone to dial you right now. That has not happened just a few times. It's happened many times over the course of life. And it's like, are we connected? Which I believe we are at an energetic level, but how far does that span? And that's where we get into quantum entanglement, which we're going to pause on that for a second. But how connected are we, and how can you influence these things, or are they random in the simulation?
Like finishing each other's sentences, things like that. Like when you're in the middle of a conversation with somebody or you say the same exact word or same exact response at the exact same time. Like how does that relate? I don't think all of these things are just coincidences. Like they're not just out there like, oh, it just happenstance. It's, like it happens often when you really think about it. Like these types of synchronicities just happen. They happen more than when you're aware of it. You're like, oh my gosh. Like when you think about it, like, yeah, like you're on the same wavelength as usually with the person the people you're closest to, maybe just because you developed a relationship, but sometimes it happens with people you don't even know. And then all of a sudden builds a relationship and trust. And it's like, wow, dude, you're like really like, you're a likable dude, because we think I'm the same way. But like, was that part of the simulation to bring us together to, do something cool or whatever, right? Like, how do you, like, we were both put here on this planet. Like, how is it possible that me and you are hanging out for the last 20 years, right? It could totally different world. It could have been across the country or a different country, who knows, right? Like you were born.
That's when you get to like past lives.
Yeah.
You know each other in previous lives or whatnot. But I think a portion of it also is what makes us so different from the rest of the living world as humans is pattern recognition. And
Yeah.
so we get into these and we're like, are we just really, really good at recognizing patterns? And we're looking to justify some of these things because we're so good at trying to bring order to chaos. I guess is one of the things. And the folks that would argue against this, that are more materialist and believe in random is like, yes, it is random, and randomness is the one thing you can count on. We're not saying that that doesn't exist in a simulation, but there seems to be some structure and parameters in order to the chaos when you look at cycles and how histories repeat itself.
Do you ever see like the same number
Oh, dude.
all the time?
I just saw 1111 today, and if you look through my screenshots, I've got a buddy that it's like 444 1111 for me. It's almost daily.
It's Carl Jung that kind of coined this, like the concept of synchronicities. Yeah. The numerology piece or whatever, like my birthday is January 21st. I see 121 everywhere.
Now, is that the reticular activating system?
I don't know, but I've always kept, but you know, it's not 121 AM these days, but 121 afternoon. It seems like almost every day it's when I look at the clock, I see it's 121. I'm like, it's just weird. Or like on the screen, you know, watching something, you know, like a game, maybe the score's 12-1, right? Whatever. Like, and you put it together, and I see that all the time. And so I think it does go back to like, yeah, maybe it's your RAS or maybe there's some real patterns that I'm just aware of. And I, you know, maybe it makes me think about it more because it's a meaningful number to me.
I see both arguments there. It's just I can't see how daily, because like for me it's 1111. Yeah, it's a more recognizable pattern, and if there were a different combination of numbers, maybe I would not recognize. Maybe I do see them on a clock, but the fact that they're that significant, they're called in the spiritual world, they're called angel numbers, right? There's like meanings behind all of them. But 11 is my favorite number too, so that takes me down the path. Am I just looking for this? Is this, you know, is this whatever? One of the things, like you can look at it, these synchronicities kind of like the universe's Easter eggs, like these little snippets of things that like, oh, is there something more to this than just, you know, the randomness? But it's hard to not talk about dreams when we're talking about simulation. Like we know that we're going to sleep. That's when our brain's going through repair. That's when we are submitting things to long-term memory, the things that we've learned over the course of the day. They go to our long-term memory over the course of sleep. But some of the things, like especially mine, Paul and I compare notes in our dreams all the time. There's often no reason why the humans, the places should ever be combined in that, you know, concept and the way the dream that dream played out. And so like is dreaming this portion of a simulation to give you a different perspective on what's going on in life.
Have you ever heard of like, we are in a dream and our dreams is actually reality?
Yeah, it's the inverse.
Yeah, the inverse of it. It's wild. I don't understand dreams either. Like, and I don't understand sleep. Like you're unconscious for 8 hours and your brain is on like some crazy psychedelics going through some crazy shit. And it's sometimes you get to see it. Sometimes you don't. And then you wake up and you're like, wait, what the heck just happened? Like, why am I awake? And now I gotta go to work or I gotta go do the thing. Like that was fun. I want to go back to that.
I think it's crazy, the parity and the differences of people that dream and that don't. Like I dream almost every night, like almost every night, vivid dreams. Some people don't dream at all.
I don't dream
or
every
remember
night.
Their dreams.
Right? I don't remember my dreams every night. Do you know the background behind that? Do you know why some people do and some people don't?
I don't. There's so
either.
much we don't know about dreaming. It's fascinating to go through. And like some people can control it. I've been in a dream before, and there's this whole practice where you can go through and look at you look at your hands, and then the more comfortable you get, like getting familiar with your hands. If you can get to that point in your dream where you look down and you can see your hands, then you can start controlling your dream, fly and do all this stuff. I have not mastered that. I have a couple of friends that have gone deep, and a big piece of it is writing them down as soon as you wake up. Like try to get as much as you can as soon as you come out of sleep to write down your dreams. Also can help you lucid dream and whatnot. But man, we are all over the place on this one.
No, it's great. I think the whole idea is just like, you know, we're conscious beings, but there's a lot of things that are just, we don't know answers to. A lot of people don't know answers to, and things happen that are odd. And it's like, is it a simulation? Is it synchronicities? Is it, is it the deja vu, our brains playing tricks on us? Is it the Mandela effect? I mean, you think about the Mandela effect where it's like where we all believe something to be true when it actually isn't true. Like we all remember certain situations the same way, but that's not what actually happened. Sometimes family members can get that when you like look at a picture and you're like, oh, that was the time when we did this, this, and this. And you have these memories from pictures only. But in reality, that's not actually what even happened.
So let's talk about the Mandela effect.
Yeah. Let us know.
It's pretty fascinating. This will send you down a rabbit hole because there's so many examples. I'm like going to forget some of them. But the main one is from Nelson Mandela. Like for a long time, a lot of folks thought that Nelson Mandela died in prison and that it was his funeral that was televised and was this famous deal, but that never happened. He was freed from prison, and a lot of the memories are for some of his activism because he came out with this peaceful mindset as opposed to, pushing down on what was going on in South Africa. Essentially, that was like, oh no, Mandela died in prison. No, he did not. So this opened up to how many things over the course of history do we remember in a very specific way that we are so certain of that is just simply not accurate. One is everyone says in Star Wars, Luke, I am your father. Never said that. And it never happened in the movie. Like it's a fact, part of the storyline, but it was never said.
It's
and
so
most people
crazy.
would swear by the fact.
Yeah, I swear by Luke, I'm your father. Everyone talks about that. And it's not, he didn't actually say it. He said, I'm your father, right? He said, no, I'm your father, something like that.
Right. Yeah.
It wasn't Luke, I'm your father. It's something similar. But like another one that's pretty famous. Everyone hears mirror, mirror on the wall.
Yeah.
But it's not. She says magic mirror on the wall.
On the wall, yeah.
Not mirror, mirror. And so everyone remembers mirror, mirror on the wall. Who is the most beautiful of them all?
Or like a lot of people, myself, if you would have told me, oh, it's Jiffy peanut butter, there is no Jiffy peanut butter. It's Jif.
It's Jif.
Or Skippy.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
or Peter Pan. We were a Peter Pan household.
What about the Monopoly Man? Does he have a eye monocle or no?
Apparently he does not, but that's another one. We all remember him as having one.
Yeah, he always had one. But that's the Mandela effect. Right?
Another one was the Fruit of the Loom logo. This is probably one of the most that I'm like adamant about. Fruit of the Loom, the clothing, underwear, t-shirts, all the above, had like a cornucopia, the horn of plenty with the fruit coming out of it. Yeah. Apparently that never existed. I can see it. Like I can see it on a logo. It's just fruit.
There's no cornucopia? That's funny. All right. What are some others? I think there's like ones where like spellings, like people spell, they think the way things are spelled or put together, they remember them the right way. Like Kit Kat, like there was a dash between Kit Kat, but there never was.
Yeah. Or like Sex in the City. And it was really Sex and the City.
Oh, yeah. I thought it was Sex in the City, too. It's Sex and
some of these are just language and we repeat them and then they catch on. But
it's like playing that game telephone when you were a kid. You say something in someone's ear and, by the time it gets around the room, it's completely different than what it actually was.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, it's what I think is really interesting is there's literally a term for this, like the Mandela effect, right? Like there's a thing you can describe it. Like how many things that are out there in the world you think are just strange and you're like, well, that doesn't make sense. There is a term, there's a theory, there is a idea that's out there. Someone is trying to put some context to it. And I think that's what's cool is like, if there's something that you can't explain, especially with the power of AI and ChatGPT and like jump in there and be like, hey, what is this called if this situation happens or that situation, like the numbers thing. Like if I see the same number over and over, what does that mean? And you're going to get some information back of what that possibly could mean. And then it gives you an opportunity to kind of go down the path of learning, the intricacies of the human being and the brain and everything that goes on. I think that's what's kind of cool about bringing up this topic in this conversation. It's just reminding that not everything is random. Like there are reasons behind certain things. And I do believe in signs. I do believe that, especially even in dreams, like if you had a dream that was like, whoa, that was intense. It's almost like if it was a good one or a bad one, like maybe that means that there's something, maybe be careful or watch out. Maybe something bad's going to happen in the future. Or if it was really good, be like, hey, buckle up, maybe, keep staying the path, like stay the course. You're on the right path and maybe something really good's going to happen. Yeah. But there's there is something to this. I think if you're seeing the signs and you're aware of it, then good or bad, push forward or pivot to another direction if you think it's not going to be a great thing. But yeah. I think there's definitely something to this. It's not random. It's not happenstance.
I was thinking about as we're going through this, this is kind of the young kids lingo. And when we talk about a simulation, that ties to a video game, and maybe that's where this language comes from, with as much as younger kids like video games these days. But like that concept of, and what we talk about is we're in a first player motion, right? Life is a one player game. We are viewing our reality from one perspective, and we think about the world like we talk about this podcast. Oh, everyone's watching me. I'm the main character. Everyone cares about me so much, and I'm worried about what other people think because we have this first player mindset. Well, really, we're just an NPC, a non-player character. There's other people in video games that just stand there. Back in the low graphic days, they kind of just stand and do weird stuff, or just be like a person in the crowd on the sports games or whatever. But we're the NPC in other people's games, and they're not really looking at us. So it's like in your simulation, you do have that control over as the first player of this is what I'm going to do. This is how I view it. And what's important to me and what actions am I going to take in my simulation? I think that's where the power can come in.
Yeah, it's like being an extra in a movie. No one really pays attention to that. The main character is what they paid. But you're right. And I think you take that, what you just said, and when you go out into the world and you're worried about what other people are thinking about you, they're not thinking about you. They're not thinking about you at all. Like maybe in that interaction, like right then and there, but like once the interaction's over, more often than not, if you're not like a family member or a tight-knit circle of theirs, they're not thinking about you very often. So don't worry about what they think about you. Like just continue to pursue and do
level up your character.
Yeah. Level up your character. Don't worry, or don't be like, oh, I can't do that because what are they going to think? They're going to judge me. They're going to do this or whatever. And I actually use this especially in the beginning. Now it's not so much anymore, but I still get nervous when I get up in front of a large group and talk, but I will use that in the beginning of like, hey, these people aren't going to remember everything that I said. They're just going to remember that I was up there, I was confident, I had a story to share, and I maybe shared some nuggets or whatever. And I was prepared for that, to share those types of things. But at the end of the day, they're going to remember how I made them feel. And they're just going to walk away, hopefully feeling positive. And that's my goal. They get one or two nuggets, whether they implement it or not, I don't know, but they feel inspired. And then they leave there in a positive, happier than where they were before, or more, inspired or more thought-provoking than when they first walked in. But they're not going to remember everything I said. So why am I worried about how this is going to go? If I can hit that goal for one person in the room, then I'm happy. And so like that kind of remembering, like these people aren't going to think about me after this anyway. So I'm just going to go present and do what I think is the most impactful talk that I possibly can give, and, hope for the best, based on preparation. And then over time you build the evidence and the confidence like, hey, this is actually working, and you feel good about going into it. But it just goes with like any fear, with any social crowd or anything like that. Like just go for it. Like just do it, make an impact, like do something out of ordinary, make someone smile.
I think that's the biggest thing is that one, if we haven't said it enough yet, we don't know. That's the beauty of this. We have no idea what, the fabric of existence truly is. You can work in your faith or whatever, but you get into the concept of, I need to escape the matrix, or I need to beat the simulation, and all these things, like it's stacked against you. And it's this game that's whatever. How about just the awareness that you can wake up within the simulation, whatever it is, and make an impact with the power that you do have. Back to that stoicism, the stoicism of my actions. What are my actions within this existence that can have a positive impact, what I deem as positive, and to design the existence to make this the best round that I can within this simulation, I guess is what we're calling it.
Yeah. Who knows whether we know or anyone else knows? No one knows. We could be in a simulation. We could not be. We could be simulating other things, our people in our world simulating other worlds. Who knows? But at the end of the day, all I know is if I can continue down the path towards the success and the things that I've developed for myself, and I can help other people do it through this podcast, and me and you can work together on that, at the end of the day, it's all that matters to me. So Whether
That's
you're in
a wrap on this
simulation,
simulation.
that's right. This is not real. It's not real. No, in all seriousness, like, subscribe, follow. That'll be the end of part 2. We'll be back at you next week with a new fresh topic. And I know we got some guests in the hopper, so we'll talk to you later.